Hi, this is Mitali Nikore, the founder of Nikore Associates, and bringing you some videos and my views, opinions on the union budget. I'm really lucky to be recording these videos because I've got a lot of your messages on social media and direct messages from my own friends and family asking for my opinion on the budget. So that's how this video series has been born. And just to recap some of the findings of the first video that I created. In the first video, I explained what was the total quantum of the union budget this year and last year. So last year, the government actually spent around 34.5 lakh crores. That was the COVID year, March 2020 to March 2021. And in this year, 2021-22, the actual allocation, the total size of the budget has only increased by 1%. It's sitting at around 35 lakh crores. Now, because of this, clearly there will be some winners and some losers because certain ministries we have found that their allocations have increased a lot this year, and then there are others, obviously to compensate for that increased allocation, their allocation would have fallen. So let's take a look at who are these big winners and losers. I'd say that the first big winner is actually the Ministry of MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises. Their allocation in the revised estimates of 2020-21 was about 5,000 crores. This has actually been made 15,000 crores this year. It's almost a 177% increase over the spending that the government did for this ministry last year, which is quite heartening because MSMEs are the ones who have been highly affected by COVID. So I give this a plus. This is one of the best things that have come out in the budget this year. The second big winner, which I'd say, is actually the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change. But the interesting thing about this ministry is, though its allocation has increased by 42%, it's actually a very small amount. Its allocation has just increased from 2,000 crores to 2,800 crores. So, for the ministry, though, it's a good quantum and it's a good sum that's been increased. It's actually a very small amount given the issues of climate change that we actually face. That's the second point. The other ministry where I feel I'd like to talk about an increase is definitely the Ministry of Power. The Ministry of Power has actually seen a 40% increase in their allocation. And the main reason I feel that that increase is showing up is because in the revised expenditure plan, which was made post COVID, which we are now seeing in the revised estimates, the amount of allocation for the Ministry of Power went down. And now it's been increased from 10,000 crores to 15,000 crores. So this is quite good because given this year there will be more and more spending in the power sector. The other winners, I would say, this year are Ministry of Space. Their budget has actually increased from 9,500 crores to 14,000 crores close to, and that has actually will help them in implementing the announcements during Atmanirbhar Bharat 1, which were around privatization of space and also more and more expenditure on space related research. So that's a big push that has come in. Another ministry which has gained, and I would say it's a little bit of an unexpected gain, is the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. The budget has actually increased from 1 lakh crores to 1.2 lakh crores. And it's one of the ministries with the biggest budgets overall, after the Defense Ministry. And this is one ministry which is very interesting to see. It's very interesting to see an increase in its allocation because this year we thought that there would be a slowdown in some of the infrastructure investments, but this is the primary vehicle for the government to make more and more infrastructure investments, and the fact that there's no slowdown in the construction of roads and highways and also logistics facilities fall under the same ministry. So that makes it interesting to see, though small, 16%, but considerable given the overall quantum and of sum which is given to this ministry. So it's 1.2 lakh crores for the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. And also, tying in with the announcement that the was made during the budget speech, a lot of these highways will actually go into pole bound states like West Bengal, like Tripura, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. which is important because a lot of these states, especially the eastern states, not as much the southern states, but eastern and northeastern states require a big push when it comes to highway construction, where it's traditionally been a bit slower than the rest of the country. Now, let's talk about another ministry which has gained, which is the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And their budget has actually gone up from 46,000 crores to 54,000 crores this year. And the big announcement for Urban Affairs and Ministry of Housing, one is of course their flagship scheme, which is the PM Awas Yojana, which has also found its way in the Atmanirbhar Bharat announcements which have been made through the year last year, which is the affordable housing scheme. But the other big announcement was of course more push towards electric buses and buses in general, and introducing public-private partnerships for buses and urban mobility. This has been a huge demand across the board. And a lot of the budget of this ministry used to be cornered by metro projects, but this year is the first year that we are seeing a focus on bus transport, which is quite interesting. Now, coming to some of the losers, I would call the education ministry a loser this year. The reason I'm saying that is because if we look at the overall education budget for the Department of School Education and Literacy, which is primarily for classes 0 to 12, it stood at around 60,000 crores in the BE, that is the budget expenditure which was made in February 2020. Now, post COVID, the revised expenditure was around 52,000 crores. And this year it has received 54,000 crores. Now, the basic reason why this is a loser, despite the fact that it's actually remained quite constant, is because it shows that there hasn't been much thought and investment into making the education budget bigger and pushing education this year as schools reopen, especially for the implementation of the new education policy. So this is definitely, I would classify the education ministry as one which was expected to get a bigger allocation, but probably because of COVID spending priorities could not. Another ministry which is interesting, which I would put down in amongst the ministries which has not actually received much allocation this year, is the Skill Development Ministry. The budget for the Skill Development Ministry has actually increased only by a few hundred crores. It was sitting at around 2700 crores in RE 2020 and then went up to 2800 crores this year, and it's just a 2% increase. And the basic point is that skilling and reskilling, especially for informal workers who have lost their jobs, was a huge focus last year as migrants started returning back to their home states. And the fact that the budget has not increased for the skill development ministry is definitely a matter of concern, especially when it comes to job creation and employment. Then another ministry whose allocation has come down is the Civil Aviation Ministry. Their allocation has actually reduced by 22%. It was 4,000 crores in last year, and this year it has come down to around 3,200 crores. And I would say definitely that is owing to the COVID pressures, etc. You have to, again, as I said, some winners, some losers. But the simple thing is, this year maybe there could have been a package for the Civil Aviation Ministry given and the sector, given the COVID impact on the sector, but that has actually not happened. So these are the big winners and big losers in my opinion.